God gives you something to do, just do it. And in doing it, don't quit. Remember, if you're going through hell, keep going. You have a destiny. You have a purpose. And God is waiting on you to get there. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Let's Talk with Samantha Williams. I want to encourage you all to please subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and go ahead and share, because if someone you know can benefit from this, definitely you want to tune in so that you can help them get from where they are to where they need to be. And so today we have a super special guest. We have someone who has a powerful story to share, and he has decided to answer the call to ministry. And, from a young age, he knew that it was a call on his life, and he decided to take that call. And so without further ado, let's welcome Pastor Kyle Maycock to the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you. Good to be here. Hello, Let's Talk audience. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So how do you feel about sharing today with us?
I'm good. I feel good. I look excited about it. Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Looking forward to a great conversation.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about your call to ministry.
Right.
From a very young age, you were called.
Right.
And you pretty much said it was a call rather than a vocation.
Right.
So let's talk about, what did you feel, when did you first feel called to the ministry?
Well, before I felt called, there was a curiosity at a very young age, and I don't know where it came from. And that's why I call it a call. At a very young age, before I even knew that you could be a professional church person, a pastor. I always had this keen interest in reading the Bible as a child, 7 years old. And I would start with Revelation, actually. Mm-hmm. And so I always had this interest. I would lock myself in the bathroom and read it, even though I didn't understand what I was reading. Mm-hmm. I just always knew that it was a sacred book. And I would read it. And I was told later on that as a young child, my grandmother, there was a phase in her life before she gave her life to the Lord and passed away. She used to party a lot. She would come home and she'd come home a little intoxicated. Mm-hmm. And they told me that I would often go into the room to my grandmother and start telling her, the Bible says you shouldn't be doing this and doing that in a very cute way. Mm-hmm. But those, I guess, were signs of something that God had hardwired into my life.
Yeah.
And so I kind of grew up with this God consciousness. Yeah. And then an extreme conviction. I didn't give my life to the Lord yet, but I always had this consciousness, which I think came from the Word and whatnot. And then eventually, at a particular time, the church that I pastor at now, my mom brought us there when I was 7 years old. Wow. So I was going to church now, had this keen interest in the Bible and telling people what the Bible said, and whatnot. So early on, I think that's where the roots were. I mean, the seed was planted. Mm-hmm. And then I gave my life to the Lord at the age of 17, right out of high school, which was not planned, but it was the best decision in my life. And eventually, between 17 and maybe 18 and a half, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Everyone who had graduated seemed to have some kind of clarity of what they were going to do. People would, right after high school, everybody was talking about going to college, and this one was doing that, and it just was this sheer excitement and clarity. But I did not have that. At this phase, from 17, after I gave my life to the Lord, to about 18 and a half, I was heavily involved in church before I even knew what that meant. Mm-hmm. I was an usher. I was working in the student ministry. I was opening the doors and carrying tables at a young age. But I loved that. And I loved that. I would be the first one there and the last one to go, because we were just like a stone throw up from the church at Cisan Manor. So it was in walking distance. Wow. And I didn't mind. And actually, it was at 18 years old, I got the key to the church.
Really? At 18?
At 18 years old. Wow. I got a key to the church from the then senior pastor. But while everyone was talking about this career, I was saying, I don't know. And when people would ask me, I would actually lie. I would say, I want to be an electrical engineer. Yeah. Now, I did not know anything about electrical engineering. Clueless. I hated math. Still hate math. I was more of an English person, but what do you say when people ask you what you're
Right.
supposed to do?
Right.
It's such pressure you put on yourself, or some pressure that people put on you.
Yeah.
The only thing I knew that I loved to do was I loved the church and what it meant, and I loved the people of the church, and I loved the Bible.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. It wasn't until one day, uh, um, as a matter of fact, one night I could remember being in the shower crying.
Wow.
Because I didn't know. Because now, when you're out of high school as a Bahamian male, you got to work.
Yeah. So there was this fear, I guess, of wondering what to do now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's pressure on you, and although you were working, still wasn't feeling any. Still wasn't feeling any call. At the time I was working on the roof with my dad, between the roof and then a summer job at the airport.
Yeah.
So it was this holding pattern.
Right.
And then one day, man, I remember the day before it all happened, I was standing in the shower crying, like, Lord, I don't know what to do.
Right.
I feel lost.
Yeah.
I feel like what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And the next day, the senior pastor had called all the youth workers together. I didn't know what the meeting was about. And he said, it was about 13 or 14 of us, and he said, does anyone feel called to ministry? I didn't know what that meant. And everybody was looking in the circle like, no. And I said, call to ministry. And nobody said anything. I said, he said, okay, before you wrap up to me. I said, hold on. I said, when you say call to ministry, you mean like do church work?
Yeah.
And he looked at me and said, exactly. And I looked around and I said, I think that's me. I really feel like that's me.
And you were the only one?
I was the only one in that circle that said that.
Wow.
I said, I think that's me.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, we'll talk. And so I think that was when I felt a gravitational pull towards. I didn't know, it wasn't seen as a vocation.
Starting to connect at that point.
Right. I just knew what I loved doing, and I didn't know you could get paid for it.
Right.
So, and I think that was the early signs of this call.
Wow.
That was on my life.
So who were some of the key people who you felt help you with that, help you to come to that realization?
A couple people. One definitely was the then senior pastor at the time, because he helped me to think through some things. He had some open-ended questions, like what do I mean when I feel like, why do I think this is what I want? And the only thing I could say is, hey, this is what I find joy in. This is what I think about. This is what I dream about. This is what I spend my time. If I could do it for free, I've been doing it for free, and this is what I love to do. Yeah. I would leave work and come to church.
Wow.
You see, so he was definitely one. Definitely my parents, my mom especially. She was one that just kind of watched and see. Yeah. And then there were a few men in the church eventually that fellas like Sheldon Bullard, who was, and Devlon Ellis, who some of my first mentors, Randy Cooper. Because when I stopped working on the roof, when Sheldon opened Bullard's Plumbing, we opened that shop. Yeah. And so now here I am around faith-centered men. Yeah. And so instead of being on a job site where everybody talking about other things, like the conversation in the shop, and the conversation was always faith-based and principle-based, which fed into this growing appetite that I had.
Yeah. I want to stick a pin right there and just say how important it is for us as a people to have godly mentors around our children. It matters. Right. It makes a huge difference. Right. Because clearly that's what grounded you. That's what helped you. That's pretty much made you.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was critical, and it was at a very peculiar time in life. Where 17 to 19 for young men, that's a crossroad. That's a crossroad. And I don't think they knew they were mentoring. They were just saying, hey, this is how we do life. Yeah. And I was just eating it up. I was just eating it up. We would talk about the Bible, we'd debate. I mean, customers would come in, and it was just an environment that I think spoke to my calling. Yeah.
So you've gotten the call, right? You answered the call. You got an idea of, this is what I need to be doing, and so therefore I need to do it. Right. Now we're going to talk about the preparation. Right. And with that comes certain types of trials. Right. Right. So how did you prepare yourself for leadership in ministry? How did you do that?
Well, after that conversation with Pastor Houghton, it wasn't anything immediate. He was very intentional about giving responsibility. Yeah. Not titles. Yeah. So being faithful as an usher. Yeah. Opening the door. Yeah. Greeting people, learning people, understanding that small things matter in the big picture.
Yes.
These being responsible with what was entrusted to you. That was the initial phase. And then after a time period, which was totally undefined, and I didn't know this was happening at the time. And then eventually the conversation came about education. So the church, Freeborn Bible Church, actually was the one that sent me to seminary.
Wow.
For pastoral ministry. A lot of
Wow.
people don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That and the association, the BECA, they were the ones that commissioned me and said, hey, we're going to put some, not all the money, but we're going to grab some funds.
Yeah.
He identified the same Bible college that he went to.
Yeah.
Trinity Bible College in Tampa.
Yeah.
We made the initial contact. And the rest was up to me to do the legwork to see how passionate I was about pursuing it.
Because you didn't have any intentions of going to school, really.
I didn't know you had to.
Yeah.
I didn't at that time. I didn't know you had to.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know you need to study. I know you need to volunteer, work, and learn people. That these skill set, knowing people and knowing the word. But I didn't know that there was a systematic way of learning where you can get a degree and formal training.
Yeah.
And but the training was formal and informal. Let me put it like that.
Yeah.
That was the preparation.
Also.
Well, again, you just had to fulfill certain rules without complaining. You had to live a certain way, and it was very difficult to stay pure from 17 to 19. And I could remember having a girlfriend. I remember going to the youth pastor at the time after I got saved, and I said, hey man, I don't want to be vacillating. Give me some advice on how to be serious about my faith at 18 years old. So he says, yeah, well, for you, here's what you need to do. Don't date right now.
Really?
Don't see any, because you don't know how to do it as a Christian way. And he said, at the youth pastor, I did what every 18-year-old does when they're faithful youth pastor give them advice. I did the opposite.
Of course. Like, what you gonna do, right?
I started sneak dating, I started talking, or I started dating and not letting him know. But people know. You can say these two always together.
Yeah.
They always like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And again, there was wisdom in what they were telling me. And you learn. I should have listened. I put it like that.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely developing your character and your reputation early.
Yeah.
All of these things are the intangibles and the informals of the training, because the education is only one thing. If you have no credibility, nobody listening to you in this business.
Yeah.
So that's basically how it was.
So what part of leadership do you think you were least prepared for? That's a loaded one.
I think the people side of it.
Yeah.
The people side of it is no one can prepare you for the ebb and flows of leading people.
Yeah.
There's no classroom that could tell you. There's no theory, because people are as complex are.
Yeah.
So even though you have principles, there's some things you learn along the way. You learn to develop your intuition, but it is dealing with people. And the church is the most complex system on the planet.
Yeah, because there's so many different walks of life, so many different situations. You're dealing with so many different generations. It's a whole gamut of things.
Right.
Yeah. So I can only imagine.
It's a melting pot of personalities, melting pot of philosophies, melting pot of background and religion. It is, and it's charity based, meaning that people sometimes their preferences. If they don't get their way, that would determine sometimes the direction. It could impede what God is trying to do through a local ministry.
Yes.
I wasn't prepared for that. And then the power of people's preferences, that over principle, I was not prepared for that.
Let's sit in that for a minute. Elaborate on that just a little.
The reality is we want what we want, and we have appetites for what we want.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we feel sometimes, we want our voice to be heard, and we have influence. And sometimes when we are not getting what we want, it doesn't matter what principle is in place. You just kind of go the next way, or you can become, if you're not managing that right,
Yeah.
you can do a lot of harm
Yeah.
unintentionally,
Unintentionally,
and
yes.
and intentionally.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like any family.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it requires people to take a loss or to
Yeah.
take a step back, and I think that was one of those areas, man, like where nobody's prepared for.
Yeah. I
Nobody's
can
prepared for
imagine.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. I know.
Right. Right.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Leading people is hard,
It's
bro.
hard. It's
Especially in the
hard.
church. In the corporate sense, in the corporate environment, you know, Samantha, a lot of people work in organizations and work for people they don't like, you know, but they still go to work.
Yes.
They still go to work.
Yeah.
And the reason they go to work is because their bottom line is at the end of the day, I'm prepared to be uncomfortable because at the end of the day, I'm going to get a check.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to get a check.
Yeah.
And so the motivating factor, if I was of a corporate leader, motivating factor isn't so much, you know, I have leverage. I could cut your check and send you home and affect your livelihood. That's not the case in the church.
No.
You know, it's harder to inspire people.
Yeah.
Because there's no real tangible reward that they would get from the local assembly.
Yeah.
You have to sell the idea, which is a true idea, that you can get here, but what you get here is not compared to what you get beyond.
Yeah.
And that's the unseen, the unknown. Yeah, right. Yeah, pie in the sky type situation.
Yeah.
And that's hard to hold on to when you're not getting what you want and you're frustrated.
Yeah, it is. And so at the end of the day, the onus is truly on us,
Right.
as a churchgoer,
Right.
as the believer,
Right.
to understand that, you know what, I know what I'm doing this for. I
Right.
know what the benefits are.
Right.
And so for me personally, I had to come to that realization.
Right.
I literally had to come to that realization. I remember when I was going to work
Right.
and being faithful with going to work, faithful with doing my job at work. And I was like, but I'm a believer and I'm sold out. I'm into God and I'm not faithful in what I'm supposed to be doing to the church
Kingdom.
or for the kingdom,
And
for the
everything is a
kingdom. The kingdom.
Right.
And so and this is a transparent moment right now. I had to be honest with myself.
Right.
And so I made the vow. I said, you know what? If I can do this for the world,
Right.
if I'm giving to Caesar what belongs to Caesar,
Right.
then I need to give to my God what belongs to him.
Right.
And that's all of me,
Right.
the best that I can.
And that was the point of Jesus saying that.
Yeah.
The point of Jesus saying that to the Pharisees was render to give the man what's his due. But why are you doing that? Why you want to be faithful to the man?
Yes.
What about what God has done to you? Because he
Yes.
says, whose image is on you?
Yes.
If his image is on the coin, give it to him. But we were made in God's image.
Yeah.
So what are you prepared to give him for his image being on you?
Absolutely.
And so a lot of, I'm so happy you said that, because a lot of time people don't connect those dots. You can do as unto the Lord on your job.
Yeah.
Worship is coextensive with life. It's not meant to be compartmentalized.
Yeah.
But it takes being kingdom minded. So
Yeah.
that's I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It resonated with me, and so I
Right.
had to share. And so going further into leadership, there was a moment where you had to step into leadership earlier than expected.
Right.
How was that for you? How were you? Because you probably wasn't ready to do it just then.
Right.
So how is it that you were able to deal with that and take that on unexpectedly?
It never goes the way you want it to go. Never goes the way you want. Well, part of the preparation was, I while I was in Bible school, it's so ironic that I ended up rooming with the former roommate of Pastor Houghton, because he had gone back to school, and it's just so much. And I went to school in a city where Pastor Houghton's best friend and former pastor of our church, one of the former pastors of our church, Pastor Burroughs, was a pastor at First Baptist Church in College Hill.
Okay.
So I was able to intern there and learn more, and I was a youth leader there. And then once I graduated, when I came back home, Pastor Houghton, as a part of my training, sent me down south to Inagua. And I was supposed to be in Inagua for 6 weeks. I ended up staying in Inagua for 2.5 years, free of charge.
Wow.
Wasn't getting a salary, but I was sent there to assist Pastor Carl Farkas and learn people. And all of this was part of the preparation, which I really didn't know it was preparation.
Yeah.
But I to go on to a family island and not have any roots there, and try to work your way in, and supposed to be there for 6 weeks and it's staying 2 years. But Pastor Carl Farquharson taught me how to pray.
Wow.
I wanted to go there and put all these programs together, and he would bring me into his household. He always was bareback. He would play harmonica, and he had this deep baritone voice. He said, "Come, boy, let's pray." And he would teach me. He said, "You have to pray. You have to pray." And outside looking in, it didn't look like the church was really successful. That church, but he had what he wanted. He had what God wanted, and I learned people on that island. I learned how to build relationships from scratch. I learned how to be tough-minded. I learned how to work without a budget, work without support, work, just being led by God. When I came back, they wanted to keep me in Inagua. Pastor said, "Nope, you invested, you need to come back." When I came back and I became the student ministry pastor full-time at the church there. And I was actually volunteering before I got paid. Volunteering. I wasn't married with children yet, so I couldn't do that.
You could do it.
But there came a time where he would send me to New Providence, and there was a schism going on in New Providence, and that was it was tense. And I was being sent there on behalf of the association and sent to me in a very tense environment, and I was catching a lot of strays. And I had nothing to do with the situation, but I was a representative of the war. And so, I could remember taking all kind of unnecessary foolishness. At the time, I used to come back. I used to go on a Sunday morning and come back Sunday night, and I would walk in past out in the office and sit down and ask him, he trying to kill me? Because of the, church people were strange, boy. They savage when they ready. And man, listen, I can't go into detail, but listen, I can remember saying, "What this? What's
this? What is this?"
No, I can remember. I was sitting in the mirror like, "What?" And I was, I ain't getting paid for this. I getting dragged through the mud. I think God gave a grace because I didn't have the skill to deal with it. And oftentimes when you call to something and if you don't have the skill, God gives you a grace until you develop the skill.
Wow.
But I didn't know that I was getting a tough chin. Going through that. And I didn't know what it meant. And then eventually Pastor Owen passed away suddenly. It was not planned to pass away. But even prior to him getting sick, I could remember when he called me in the office, maybe a year and a half before he passed away, and he said, "Come a little closer." He said, "Travel with me." A lot of people didn't know, a lot of the last maybe 8-9 months of his life, he would ask me to do his sermons. I was the one behind the scenes he would critique it. He'd say, and all of this was outside of the stage, It wasn't any, nobody knew it. Nobody knew it. And so it would just be, hey, fix this. And all of that. And then he would share some other things with me. So all of that was preparation. And then when there was a plan in place. And then, but the plan wasn't for him to fall away really quickly. And then all of a sudden now, here we are. Looking at what is and what's supposed to be. It all collapsed into one frame. And that's began the leadership role, the testing of everyone's faith, the testing of everyone's commitment, testing of everyone's maturity, testing of everybody's willingness to listen, compromise, and so that was a tough emotional time. I wouldn't say, but in hindsight, I realized that going through it, I was wondering what was keeping me. And in hindsight, I was saying, wow, this feels familiar.
Exactly.
It feels familiar.
You went through before.
Went through it.
You went through.
It feels familiar. And one of the things I learned in turmoil prior to is that you always hold on to the principle. And if you keep your hands clean, even if it doesn't go your way, then that's fine. Just don't
let go.
Hands.
Right.
Don't compromise yourself. And if if it's God's will, it's God's will.
Yeah.
No matter what's said, no matter what's done,
Yeah.
just make sure that you go about everything the right way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what I held on to when I was doubting
Right.
myself, doubting God, doubting what I was feeling,
Yeah.
doubting what people were saying.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Crazy. Right.
Well, clearly you just showed
Right.
how you handled, self-doubt
Right.
and discouragement. You clearly showed that. And let me tell you something. I mentioned on another segment that a lot of things that are happening in our lives, it's not happening to us, it's happening for us.
Right.
And so that, when you can see it like that, it's truly the perspective.
Right.
So yeah, you're going through, you're getting beat up, you're getting
Right.
tussled and all that. It
Right.
feels some type
Right.
of way.
Right.
But if you could remember, just like you said, just hold on to the principle of it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be you're gonna be all right.
Right.
You're
Right.
gonna be all right.
Right. And everything has
Yeah.
challenges. So
Yeah.
so no one is immune to challenges. You say it happens, that doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. It also happens through you. Because a lot of times it's not even for you. You become a conduit
Yes.
of what
Yes.
God wants to do or don't want to do.
Yeah.
And you don't know that until afterwards.
Right. Looking back.
Yeah. And I think that's where the wisdom that comes from going through some things, avails itself.
Wow. Okay. Well, hey, that was good. That was good, Pastor Kyle. So now we're going to talk about the burden of leadership, because it comes with a little weight, a little weighty, right? And so I want to ask you, how has leadership challenged your personal and spiritual life?
Okay. I mean, that's a good question because one,
thank you.
I don't think I haven't had a lot of problems with the church.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yeah.
Not a lot of, not a lot of fighting, not a lot of typical stuff. What I think did happen though is coming out of a very challenging transition, and the first 4 years of my leadership was marred by a few things. In 2018, we had a split. In 2019, we had Dorian. In 2020, in 2021, we had COVID. And so these were all of the challenges that came. So how it affected me was that, one, I saw those challenges as opportunity. So I was very, very conscious of making sure that it doesn't fail on my watch. That's the burden.
Yeah.
That nothing, I don't care if it's a hurricane from Mars. Yeah. I'm going to do it.
Not on my watch.
Not on my watch. And that was the kind of tenacity that I thought was noble. And so keeping things together, keeping people together, not flinching when you have so much doubt, not doubting what God has put as a vision in front of you, learning to sell it to people and people embracing it. So I did all of that with a tenacity, Samantha. But what was happening was I was not paying attention to a couple of things. One, I did not have time to grieve Pastor Houghton's death. And he was, I think I cried once. And that was, I had to go to Georgia the week he died. I left on a Friday morning, but he called me a Thursday night. And he said to me, can I come over tomorrow? And I said, I'm traveling. And he went silent. I said, you really, really need me to come? He said, yeah. I said, but I gotta go away. And then there was this long pause. And I said, okay, I'll come the first thing I get back. I come back Sunday morning. And he said, okay. Well, Sunday morning while I was on the Balearia coming home, I would have gotten the news that he passed Saturday night. And it was on the way to the house from the harbor. I think I pulled to the side and I broke down for a couple minutes. And then I had to wipe my face and go be there for the farm, be there with the family. I couldn't even. But from then until I think it was 2022, I did not grieve. I did not grieve. I grieved after, and how I knew it is that all of the good things that happened in the 4 years, and we thrived in those 4 years when we should have been falling down. We thrived, but I wasn't finding any joy in it. I wasn't pausing to celebrate anything. I was just okay, we hit this milestone, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't saying, "Oh, thank you, God." I was saying, "Okay, what's the next thing to do?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
how I knew general exhaustion was setting in,
Yeah.
and it was becoming an idol.
Yeah.
My
Woo.
my leadership was becoming an idol. Trying work, the work
Yeah.
had become an idol to me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I crashed out
Yeah.
in a way not where I got numb. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, I actually had to confide in a group of pastors one time. We had traveled to Abaco, and I said, guys, I think something wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to open up. And that's the value of having people around you.
Yes.
And they were pastors, so they could take it. You could vomit on them
Yes.
without
Yeah.
any judgment. And I said,
Yeah.
I'm weighed down.
Mm-hmm.
I lost a lot of friendships.
Mm-hmm.
I lost a lot of relationships. I lost a lot of respect in some people's eyes towards me, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have been grieving that, and I wasn't. I was just working on it, working on the work,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so it didn't do me well, Samantha.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't
Yeah.
do me well
Yeah.
early on, and then at the same time, I had a young family
Yeah.
that went through it with me.
Mm-hmm.
I had two infant children and a wife
Yeah.
that didn't sign up for all of this,
Right.
but
Right.
we had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a toll on me. I was exhausted mentally.
Yeah.
I never wavered spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but physical, mental, and social exhaustion,
Mm-hmm.
it set in.
Yeah.
I couldn't trust people, man. I felt
Yeah.
like I couldn't trust people, and
Mm-hmm.
that every day all the burden was on me.
Yeah.
I had to be all things to all men,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time neglecting myself.
Yeah.
And so it took a toll.
Yeah. So, wow. Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot, Pastor Kyle. And
Right.
I honestly, hearing you say this really has given me another level of empathy
Right.
for those who lead
Yeah.
and respect.
Right.
And it makes me want to be more cooperative and give my support even
Right.
more
Right.
because it's truly a burden.
It is.
And it's not easy. We know that the reward is great,
Right.
but as going through it, it's not easy. And so we have to be there to support our men and women of God who are doing what is it that God requires of them, you
Right.
know? So I'm just blessed. I'm just happy that you were able to work through it. And my next question is how? Because you went through it. And so I know you had your group of persons you spoke to because the circle is small regarding trust.
Right.
I
Right.
I could imagine,
Right.
right? But you were able to speak with people. But what were other things that you did to help you get? Because that's a load.
One, I had to first check myself.
Yeah.
And what that meant was being so arrogant
Yeah.
about yourself.
Yeah.
And I say arrogant in the sense that it came as false humility,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that I can't let it fail on my watch, and I have to do everything. And I was like, no, you're not called to
Yeah.
build a church. You called to serve.
Yes.
So that was one, really understanding what God had called me to do, but most importantly to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to lead within myself and the
Mhm.
grace that God gave me, and not
Wow.
be motivated by trying to prove anything to anybody.
Yes.
That was the internal work that
Mhm.
needed to happen,
Mhm.
and that came through a lot of quiet meditations.
Mhm.
So those are some of the things, like conversations I had with myself before I
Mhm.
had with anybody else.
Mhm.
Like, am I really? And then I had to deal with my wife
Yes.
and family,
Yeah.
who were there in the trenches with me as support,
Mhm.
and I had to go and thank them,
Mhm.
literally thank them. I had to go cry on some of their shoulders.
Yeah.
I had to keep my head high.
Mhm.
I had to also be reconciled to some people.
Mm.
I had to go seek reconciliation
Yeah.
for some key people
Yeah.
during the process. And it wasn't about right and wrong. It was just
Yeah.
about, dang, bro,
Yeah.
we've been together for 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
That, and then it was making myself a patient.
Mm.
I am a counselor, so I'm used to people coming to me. I had to let my guard down and find one or two people to say, hey, this is what I'm feeling.
Yes.
This is what I'm going through.
Mhm.
These are my fears.
Mhm.
help me.
Yeah.
Help me. Help me. That's the most spiritual thing I did. I prayed to God for help, and then I went to the people who I thought could help me and
Yes.
are still helping me.
Yes. Awesome.
And but it also came from listening to the stories of other people who've been in the same situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it's not I'm a recovering.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
haven't recovered. I'm
It's a
recovering. It
process.
is a
It
process.
is a process. You know, like I tell people all the time, persons who have gone through, because I've gone through. We've all gone through.
Right.
And so
Right.
with life, I feel you're never to that point of completion. I think. I think it's always that you're on that journey.
Right.
And the process is always happening
Right.
in real time.
So facts.
That's how I feel.
That's how it is. No,
Yeah.
that's how it is. That's how it is. As
Yeah.
life is always
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Always something else.
Yeah.
But that's how I wrestled through it, wrestling through it. Read a lot of books. I learned to master some emotions. I allow myself to be human.
Yeah.
I kept, like I said, I talked more. I resisted the impulse to isolate.
Ooh, I like that.
I resisted that.
I like that.
And that's easy.
Yeah.
When you feel in your mind
Yeah.
like you're wounded or you have trust issues,
Yeah.
it's easy to go back in your shell.
Oh yeah.
And only come out when needed and go back. That's not life. That's not life. That's not life at all.
No.
That's not life at
No,
all.
it's not.
And then we live in such. And then also there's, to be honest with you, Samantha, there is this needed to have a courage because this is a small city, and we all go to the same places,
right?
And walking into places here and whispering here and seeing people cut their eye, you just kind of want to stay away.
Yeah.
But when you just
courage.
You just have to have the courage to live.
I
have kids. I got to take my kids to the same
exactly.
that you go to. I ain't chasing me from around. I ain't y'all run.
But let me tell you, I'm gonna go back to that sticking point regarding isolation.
Right.
So how do you encourage persons, or other people to stay out of that space of isolation, or even persons who lead?
I would say just get out, have an accountability partner, one. And I know that's a weird phrase, that's a loose phrase people say, but commit to something.
Yeah.
And have someone hold you accountable. So that helps you. Sometimes they don't feel like going in a social environment, but commit to doing something.
Yeah.
And commit to something that where it hangs on you.
Yeah.
So you have to drag yourself out to a certain degree. That's what I would do. Yeah. Without burning out yourself. Yeah. Obviously, sometimes if you need to, there are times when you have to stop doing and you have to take a step back. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the impulse to isolate because you're in a depressed state or you don't want to deal with people or you just going down with it. There's a difference between being burnt out and you need to take a step back.
Listen, something just hit me just now.
Right.
And I just want to circle back to when we were talking about idol. You said something, you had mentioned something of making something an idol, right?
Right.
And so I want to mention it's so important for us to understand that idol situation, not to get caught up in that.
Right.
To truly say, God, you're the one doing this.
Right.
I'm simply a steward.
Right.
We literally have to understand that because, listen, I'm guilty. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be vulnerable right now. I'm so guilty of that where I feel like it's me. It's me, And here it is, God literally comes in and says to me, no, Sam, relax yourself. Because you start to see things happening. You start to see all these things taking place and all these things shaping up. And then all of a sudden it just falls flat.
Right.
And then you realize it's not you. And then you start to feel lost,
right.
Completely flustered and lost.
Right.
But thank God for grace.
Right.
Thank God for mercy. Because it makes you realize that, okay, you could step back and say, God, you're the one who's doing this. It's not me.
Right.
I'm simply your hands extended.
Right.
And,
one of the things that helped me to realize that is I've had instances, moments where it failed while I was leading it and it succeeded when I wasn't leading it.
Right.
So it put things in perspective
yes.
to me that you're not the all. Now I understand the pressure because you feel a sense of responsibility
Yeah.
for what you have.
Yeah.
And so you always want to be diligent and what's not. But then it becomes an idol when it really, like, you more concerned about yourself
Mm-hmm.
than about God.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what happened to me. And it just drew, that's what I gave my money to, my mind to, my heart to, my affections, my identity was wrapped up in it,
Yeah.
and the thing, and not
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
Yeah.
I could appreciate that sometimes you make idols and you don't even know
Yeah.
until it starts to cut you.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to shift just a little bit
Mhm.
and we're going to talk about something that a lot of people experience,
Right.
church hurt,
Right.
right? Church hurt is real. It is real. And so, you know, what does from a pastor's perspective, what does church hurt mean to you?
Okay, I have to confess something. I know it's termed a phrase, church hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I could appreciate that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
It's human hurt.
Mm.
What I could remember having a conversation with a lady in the past
Mm-hmm.
that was sharing her story about some abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently her abuser was a spiritual leader.
Mm.
And now the tone of the expression was that all spiritual leaders are like this. Now, this spiritual leader was a family member,
Mm-hmm.
maybe an uncle.
Yeah.
And I could remember saying, man, how come the spiritual leaders are, you're saying that all spiritual leaders are this and not all uncles?
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you're not
Yeah.
boycotting uncles
Right.
or fathers or
Yeah.
but I understand, and I think what happens is the level of disappointment.
Yeah.
You have expectations of people who claim to be or hold
Yes.
an office.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and a lot of times it doesn't come from the pastor.
Yeah.
Sometimes church, it comes from the local believer
Yeah.
who are not able to practice what they preach.
Right.
But the reality is, man, we've all done stuff
Yeah.
to hurt people,
Yeah.
whether it's intentional or not.
Yeah.
And God never said that the local church was a pristine one.
Right.
From time past, I mean, Jesus chose 12 disciples who walked with him. Listen to this. One denied him, one betrayed him, one doubted him. John Mark was, and everybody else was silent.
Yeah.
And everybody else was silent.
Yeah.
This the 12 he had.
Yeah.
This was the core group of people. And it's crazy that he didn't, when he came back up to Thomas, even though Thomas was doubting him, he didn't excoriate Thomas for doubt. He didn't come back to Peter and say, Peter, I know you was going to deny me. He said, Peter, you love me. The reality is we deal with people. We deal with people. And people are, some people are malicious. Some people are weak. You have to know the difference. All right? But whenever there is a breach, the Lord gives a protocol of how you deal with offenses in the family. And I think just because you're hurt, you shouldn't abandon what God has called you to do in the kingdom.
Absolutely.
Jesus was hurt by people whom he loved. And that's the example.
Yeah.
So any growing Christian, and not to trivialize the hurt that people have. I would say to anyone that's hurt, try to be reconciled. Yeah. And if you're not able to, fine. But it's not an excuse. It's not a reason to stay away from the calling and the mission. Forget the ministry. Yeah. The mission that God has for you in this life. Yeah. It's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it, because at the end of the day, suppose, Samantha, we die and the Lord said, "What? You have a mission to make disciples. Why didn't you do it?"
Right.
And I say, "These people hurt my feelings."
Yeah.
And he says to me, "Well, they crucified me.
Yeah.
And I still. Yeah. They mocked me and I still." Yeah. The Bible says, on the same night in which he was betrayed, he still took the bread. He still washed their feet, knowing that they would do it. And he says, I am the model. Yeah. You see, when you get there spiritually, you learn people can be people. And then you don't hold people as close to your heart. Yeah. I ain't lie to you. But I know it's a journey for people. Yeah. And so I appreciate that. And I would say, work through it. And whatever's holding you back, whatever pain or wounds in there, God is able.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the same people on the job will hurt you. They hurt you in the church, and it don't matter which religion. The people in the Muslim faith,
Yeah.
they hurt you too.
Yeah.
The people who are atheists, they hurt you too.
Mm-hmm.
The people who believe because the common element is human beings.
Human. Yeah. Yeah. So I see what you mean when you said human hurt.
Human hurt.
Yeah, that's true. I think I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna steal that first.
Yeah, you can have it. I stole it from someone. You can share it. Not a problem at all.
Absolutely. Okay, so now moving on to leaders who pretty much struggle
Right.
with the weight of ministry. Like, what kind of advice would you give to a pastor who you might say is struggling with the weight of ministry? What kind of advice would you give to that person? Because I can imagine that a lot of it's going on and is not seen because they're probably isolating. They're probably pretending to be okay and they're not okay. It's a lot.
Samantha, he who feels it knows it.
Yeah.
We are in a role where we are expected to pick people up on their lowest point.
Mm-hmm.
Very human. Where people make mistakes. A person that gambles all of their savings away and now at rock bottom and on the brink of losing their family, we're supposed to pick them up. People who've done things, self-harm, sabotage their future, we're there to pick them up. And we have to walk with them back to restoration. We go into this role knowing full well that the things we do for people will not do for us.
Yeah.
If, God forbid, if I fall, there will be a mass exodus away, creating a distance from, and you'll have to pick yourself up.
Yeah.
And so that's always looming in the back of most pastors' mind.
Yeah.
Our own humanity and praying to God that our feet are clay and our humanity does not sabotage our effectiveness in the ministry.
Yeah.
That is a legitimate, that's like a horror movie, Samantha.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could take anything else. I could take any abuse, but self-inflicted sabotage, it hurts.
I can
it hurts.
imagine. Yeah.
So just being aware of your humanity, I think that's one. Second, and be honest about your weaknesses. Be honest about your weaknesses.
Yeah.
I think we're better together in circles.
Yeah.
So to always have a circle of people that you could be honest with. When you feel as if you can't do it anymore or you're too compromised, step away.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know sometimes it may feel like failure, but just be really honest with yourself. And then also last one is this, just be faithful to the end. Be faithful to the end. Scripture says, now there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness prepared for me, but not just me, but all who love the Lord's appearance. That's what Paul's saying. I've fought the good fight. I've kept the faith. I've finished the race. So focus on just being faithful in whatever area that you've been called to be faithful in. The church will go on.
Yeah.
The ministries come and go. The mission stays the same. So even if we don't have a title, even if we don't have a role or responsibility, the mission is still the same.
Yeah.
You may lose a platform, but the purpose that God has for you is still there.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say and I would say to the other pastors to huddle around fallen soldiers. And don't hold resentment to people, because that a lot of pastors do that because we are attacked too. And a lot of time they hold, and their wives, our spouses and children. A lot of that's the weight, that's the unseen weight.
Yeah.
A lot of times the unfair criticisms is not, the pastor might can handle it, but think about their spouses and children that oftentimes end up resenting the work.
Yes.
Resenting church, resenting quote unquote church people.
That's additional fallout.
Listen, people don't talk about that as much.
No.
If you talk to a lot of pastors' kids, the amount of resentment that they have for quote unquote church people, you have them say, I never do this, because they've seen the war scars a lot of time.
Yeah.
Daddy, mommy, why y'all going back to them people who, why y'all ain't say something, they want to.
Yeah. Wow.
That's another story for another time.
Another time. Absolutely. Absolutely. So despite the struggles, right, what has been your greatest joy of pastoring?
Seeing the answered prayers of people. And I shared this with my
Amen.
small group the other day.
Yeah.
the thing that keeps me and some of the other pastors around me, just sharing it with my elders, I get so much joy. I could remember, I'll say this, I could remember in 2018 having an exercise where I asked people, hey, if you have someone in your life who you want God to turn their life around, go put their name on this cross and we'll pray for them. Samantha, I've seen enough of those prayers answered.
Wow.
I spoke to a man last week, 2 weeks ago, and I said, bro, you wouldn't believe that your wife, you know how long your wife been praying for you to be in this position?
Wow.
I mean, a total
turnaround.
180.
Wow.
Total 180.
Yeah,
Total
yeah.
180. And so that's not always put out there to see. But I sometimes, but because I have knowledge,
Yeah.
sometimes I sit back and I was like, wow.
Look at God.
Look how the Lord answered his prayer. And it's nothing in front of the temple where everybody sees. It's just the reason why you see so many people energized is because what God is doing in their life.
Yeah.
And so to me, that has been the greatest joy for me, just seeing God. And I get off on people winning.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I'm wired.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love to see people walk in the purpose that God has for them. I sacrificially lay down anything I could to help people who are doing God's work or doing what God has called them to do.
Awesome.
So that's been my joy.
Awesome. That's a good one.
Right.
That's a good one to see answered prayers. To be a witness to that, because a lot of people be like, what's so good about this? What you see? What's people be wondering, but they don't know. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good.
God is best experienced, not talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, so they need to come on over on this side and then experience some of this.
See for yourself.
See for yourself.
Come see for yourself.
I know that's right, Pastor Kyle. I know that's right. Okay, so I have to ask, what enduring legacy would you aspire to leave behind for future generations?
Last 2 days, I had the opportunity to speak to different bodies of students. And I'll leave with this. When I left both places, I called my wife and I said, I think I messed up as a pastor. She said, what do you mean? I said, I think maybe the point was, if I could tell these children one thing to do, what would I know what I've told them in the past. I've told them about character development. I told them about having a principled life. I said, if I could leave anything with them, I tell them, you better learn how to pray. You better learn how to pray.
Yeah.
There's some things that are going to happen in life that money can't solve.
Yeah.
There's some things that are going to happen that your network can't solve.
Yeah.
There's some things that's going to happen in your life that, your finesse and ingenuity can't solve. That your education can't help you. Because that's how deep and profound and soulish those things are. If you do not know how to pray and how to seek God's leading, life is going to be extremely difficult in certain seasons. And so for me, faithfulness in those things. I love the idea of, financial stewardship. I love the idea of family principles. I love the idea, but teaching you how to pray.
Pray. Yeah.
I wish I had said more of that as a youth pastor for the generation coming up behind.
Yeah. Well, but guess what? You've mentioned it here.
Right.
And so we're going to carry that.
Right.
And it's going to slingshot into the atmosphere, and it's going to catch a fire.
We thank God.
And I want to add to that too. Pray and pray the word.
Right.
Because even at my grown age, I don't know scripture that well. I know some things, but I haven't hidden it completely like I want to. So I'm there learning as I go now at my grown age. And no shame in this game because I realize that once you realize it, then you could do something about it.
Right. And that's the Lord beckoning you.
Yeah.
That's the Lord saying, come in a little closer.
Yeah, exactly.
But praying the word is that's where the truth is.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank God for that.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, I know just about everybody knows you, Pastor Kyle.
Really?
They know you so well.
What?
They know you so well. They call you PK from time to time, right?
That was from the students, yeah.
But, I still would like for you to give you an opportunity to, if anyone wants to connect with you for whatever reason, you could just let them know how they can go ahead and connect with you.
Well, I have the wonderful privilege of serving at Freeport Bible Church. So if you need to reach me, you can always call 352-7600 or 7603. You can email me at Pastor Kyle at Freeport Bible Church. Inbox me on Facebook at the same name, or Instagram at Pastor Kyle. I'm very open, very accessible, very, very accessible.
Yes.
And so just let me know, and I will I love to serve.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Pastor Kyle, I just want to say thank you so much for being vulnerable. Thank you so much for sharing your faith with us. And thank you so much for being an awesome leader.
Oh, thank God. Thank you for having me. I am proud of you.
Yes, thank you.
I am excited for this platform and what you do. I listen to it all the time.
Thank you.
And so I want to commend you for. I know what you wanted to get out of your shell. And thank God for His grace.
Yes.
And appreciate being here.
Thank you. And with that, I just want to say that, this episode has been so powerful. We understand that, leaders are human too. And, we have to just truly trust in God to bring us out of whatever we're going through, trust in God to carry us, trust in God to help us in content that's going to bless you and going to help you get from where you are to where you need to be. And with that, I would like to say, let the redeemed of the Lord share this story, for He has delivered you from the hand of your enemy. Are you ready to tell your story? Let's talk about it.